The last defense tower. Smoke rose from the cracked ground. Fire burned where trees once stood. Black skies hung over the ruins of Frontier Post 9, the last line before Earth itself. And in the middle of all that, death stood Captain Jace Thorne. He was alone. The wind blew ash across his armor. His hands were dirty. Blood, his and others, covered his face. The radio on his shoulder clicked. Jace, reinforcements lost. HQ says fallback. Jace didn't respond. His eyes were fixed on the horizon. Movement. Fast. Silent. They were coming again. No fallback, he whispered. This tower doesn't fall. Behind him stood the ancient defense tower, tall and broken. Its energy core barely worked, but it was the last defense between the Kareth Dominion and Earth. He walked into the control room. Dust covered old screens and broken buttons. The humans built this tower 100 years ago during the first invasion. Now it was forgotten. Jace pressed a button. Nothing. Then he slammed his fist down and the screen lit up. A soft hum filled the air. The tower was waking up. Good girl, he muttered. Hours earlier, the enemy came in waves. Tall, silver, and silent. The Kareth had no mouths, no eyes. They were machines of flesh and metal, born to conquer. Jace's team was strong, smart, brave, but not enough. He watched them die one by one. Their screams still echoed in his mind. He sent the last of the wounded off in a dropship. Get to Earth. Tell them we're not gone yet. And then, he stayed. Why? Even Jace didn't know. Maybe because his sister had died when Kareth forces attacked Earth 5 years ago. Maybe because he was tired of running. Or maybe, just maybe, he believed one man could still change something. Now, a beep pulled him back. The radar blinked red. Incoming. Enemies 47. Jace grabbed his rifle. He checked the ammo low. He smiled dryly. I've had worse odds. He set traps at the edge of the field. Mines, charges, spikes. Then he took position at the top of the tower. From here he could see them coming. Shadows moved in the smoke. Silent, fast, deadly. They came. The first row exploded as they stepped on a mine. Metal parts flew into the sky. Jace opened fire. One by one the monsters fell, but they kept coming. Jace gritted his teeth. Come on, come and bleed. He threw a grenade, fired again. His shoulder bled, but he didn't stop. A Kareth reached the stairs. He dropped it with a knife to the throat. Another jumped from the side. Jace shot it mid-air. Then, silence. His gun clicked empty. Jace dropped to his knees, breathing hard. Around him, dead aliens piled up like a wall. Smoke stung his eyes. His chest burned. He looked at the broken screen beside him. One message blinked. Signal intercepted. Unknown voice. He pressed play. A soft, strange voice spoke. Human, you are not alone. Jace froze. It wasn't Earth Command. It was alien, but not Kareth. The voice was softer. Tired. Female. I am not your enemy. Please don't shut this down. They'll kill me too. He stared at the screen. Who was she? He didn't know if it was a trap. But the Kareth never spoke. Never begged. Whoever she was different. And she was scared. Jace stood slowly. He had wounds to patch, weapons to reload, and traps to reset. But something told him this voice, this moment, would change everything. Outside, the smoke cleared for a second. He saw the stars above. Quiet. Watching. And Earth, far away but still there. He whispered, You'll have to kill me to get past this tower. Lightning cracked across the black sky. Thick clouds rolled in fast, swallowing the stars. Rain didn't fall. It slammed like bullets. And from the center of the storm they came, tall, silver, silent. The Kareth war beasts. Captain Jace Thorne didn't move. He stood on the defense tower, soaked and bleeding, watching as shapes walked through the smoke. Their glowing armor reflected the flashes of lightning. They marched like ghosts, each step shaking the ground. He muttered, "Round 2. His rifle was nearly empty. The tower's defense guns were down. The only working weapon was his own mind, but he wasn't afraid. Not anymore. He crouched near the tower's roof edge and placed the last 2 mines. Wires sparked, the wind howled, and his radio crackled again. "Human. I'm still here." Jace blinked. The voice was back. Soft, female, alien. "They're coming. I told you, please, and don't fight alone." He pressed the radio. "Who are you?" "My name is Sira. I was once Kareth. Now I am not." His eyes narrowed. "That doesn't make you my friend. I'm not your enemy either. If you die here, they will find Earth. You can't stop them alone." He didn't answer. Instead, he watched the creatures spread out. They had learned from the last attack. No easy traps this time. They were hunting him. He picked up a flare gun and shot it into the storm. A bright red glow lit the sky. For a second, everything was clear. At least 30 Kareth. Maybe more. And in the distance, something bigger. The ground trembled. A new shape appeared. It was a giant, almost 4 times the size of the others, covered in armor that shimmered like liquid metal. A Kareth commander. These were rare, dangerous. They only came when victory was certain. "Good," Jace said. "Now you care." He climbed back down into the tower, reaching the old control room. Sparks flew from the walls. He slammed his fist on the panel. Nothing. "You need the tower," said Sira. "The weapons are buried deep. Use the override. I'll guide you." He hesitated. "You don't have to trust me. Just trust your mission." He entered the override code. The screen lit up with new energy. "Defense systems reactivation possible." Sira's voice returned. "Good. Start the reactor boost, but hurry." Outside, the storm grew worse. Rain turned to ice. The Kareth didn't care. They never felt cold, never felt pain. But Jace did. His hands shook. His breath came in gasps. Still, he worked. He looked at a small screen showing the enemy positions. They were closing in. Suddenly, the door at the base of the tower exploded. Metal flew. The creatures had arrived. Jace dropped his tools, grabbed a shotgun, and ran to the lower level. He met the first Kareth with a blast to the chest. The thing flew back. The second charged. Jace ducked and stabbed it through the knee, then the throat. Sparks and blood flew. "They're jamming the signal," Sira cried. "I'm losing you." "Static," Jace grunted. "Perfect timing." He fought through the narrow stairwell. His body screamed with pain, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. On the 3rd floor, he activated one of the manual pulse beams. A glowing red light blasted down the hallway, vaporizing 3 Kareth at once. The commander stepped into view. Jace aimed. Fired. Nothing. The blast hit the armor, but the thing kept walking. Too strong. Too smart. Jace ran. He climbed back to the top, reached the control panel again. He had one last chance. The storm howled like a living beast outside. But inside, one green button blinked. Main defense beam. Manual fire ready. "Let's do this," Jace growled. He grabbed the control stick and aimed the ancient cannon toward the field. Below, the commander raised its arm. A strange light built around its body, some kind of energy shield. "Come on," Jace whispered. "Give me a shot." And then, a flash. The creature moved forward just a step. That was enough. Jace slammed the fire button. The sky screamed. A massive blue beam shot down from the tower's top, striking the field like a sword from the heavens. The ground cracked. Metal melted. The Kareth line broke. The commander vanished in fire. Silence. Just wind. Just rain. Jace dropped to one knee, breathing hard. The tower sparked around him. Systems fried. Power gone again. But he had done it. For now. His radio buzzed. Faint. Broken. I saw that. Impressive. It was Sierra again. They'll come, again. With more. But you gave them a message. Jace looked out at the battlefield now filled with fire and twisted alien bodies. He whispered, "Tell them Earth isn't done yet." The air was heavy with smoke and silence. The battlefield lay quiet, but Captain Jace Thorne's mind raced faster than any weapon. He had survived another attack, but something was changing, something strange. His radio crackled. "Jace? Are you there?" "It's Sierra." The voice was softer now. Tired. Different. "I'm here. What's going on?" "I brought someone to meet you." Jace frowned. "Who?" "A prisoner. One of my people. But she is different." Minutes later, the heavy door of the defense tower creaked open. Jace stood ready with his rifle. A figure stepped inside. She was small with pale silver skin and wide, glowing blue eyes. Her clothes were torn and she looked weak. Her name was Sarah. Jace lowered his rifle slightly. He studied her carefully. "Why should I trust you?" Sarah looked down. "You should not. But I want to stop this war. The Kareth Queen plans to destroy Earth. Many of us do not agree." Jace blinked. The Kareth never spoke of disagreement. They followed one will, the Queen's. "Why are you here?" "Because I escaped." She swallowed hard. "The Queen's forces are preparing a superweapon, one that can destroy entire planets. If Earth falls, no place is safe." Jace felt a chill run down his spine. "Tell me everything," he said, his voice low. Sarah nodded and began. She told him about the Kareth Empire, a hive mind controlled by the Queen. Her people were once free, curious, and peaceful. But the Queen took control and forced them into war machines. Many resisted quietly, waiting for a chance to fight back. "I was a scout," Sarah said, "sent to spy on humans. But I learned about your courage, your will to live. You do not give up." That scared the Queen. Jace listened, his hand clenched into a fist. "Why didn't you tell your own kind?" "They would kill me." "So, you came to me." Jace looked around the broken tower, the scars of battle all over. "We are both trapped here. What do we do now?" Sarah looked hopeful. "We work together." Jace shook his head. "I don't know if I can trust you." She stepped closer, eyes shining. "You don't have to. Just listen." Sarah pulled out a small device, a hologram projector. It lit up with an image of a massive weapon. It was a huge black sphere floating in space, surrounded by strange machines. The Queen calls it the Devourer. It will swallow planets whole. Jace's heart pounded. "How do we stop it?" Sarah's voice cracked. "It's built far, from here on a hidden ship. We need to destroy it before it fires." Jace stood silently. His mind raced with plans and risks. "Why should I believe you?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Because I want peace. Because I want my people free." For the first time, Jace saw something human in her. Suddenly the radio buzzed again. "Warning! Incoming Kareth fleet detected. Estimated arrival 10 minutes. Jace turned sharply. Sarah gasped. "They found us." He grabbed his rifle. "Then we don't have much time." He raced through the tower, checking weapons and traps. Sarah followed closely. They worked fast, setting explosives and barricades. "Can you hack their systems?" Jace asked. Sarah nodded. "I can try." She moved to the console and connected her device. Lights flickered. "I'm in. I can slow their communication, but not stop it." Jace looked out the window. The rain had stopped. In the dark clouds, dozens of silver ships appeared, silent and deadly. "This is it," he said. "We fight until the end." The battle began. Kareth troops poured in like shadows. Jace fired, dodged, and charged. Sarah used her device to scramble enemy signals, creating confusion. But the Kareth were strong. One of their commanders appeared again, larger, faster, more brutal. Jace fought harder than ever. He felt pain in every bone but refused to fall. Sarah worked at the console, trying to send a signal to Earth. "Jace, we must get to the surface. The fleet is landing." They ran outside. Lightning flashed. The ground shook as ships landed nearby. Jace grabbed Sarah's arm. "This isn't over." Sarah looked at him, hope shining in her eyes. "Together," she said. Jace nodded. As the Kareth closed in, Jace and Sarah prepared for the fight of their lives. They were different, from different worlds, but both wanted the same thing: to protect Earth. Captain Jace Thorne stood alone on the open ground outside the defense tower. The storm had passed, but the air still crackled with tension. Around him, distant thunder rumbled as Kareth ships landed like dark shadows on the ruined Earth. Beside him, Sarah's eyes were wide. "They will bring more soldiers. Their fleet is only the beginning." Jace nodded, gripping his rifle tightly. "Then we make sure they don't get the chance." He looked at the broken mining crawler parked near the tower, a large armored vehicle once used for digging deep into planets. It was old, rusted, and battered, but it had weapons, heavy weapons. "I'll take that," Jace said, pointing to the crawler. Sarah shook her head. "You can't do this alone." He smiled grimly. "Watch me." Jace climbed inside the crawler's cabin. The controls were stiff, but he pushed the buttons and levers, feeling the machine come to life. The engine growled, shaking the ground beneath them. Outside, Kareth troops began to pour from the ships, dozens of silver warriors moving with cold precision. They spread out in a semicircle, ready to attack. Jace's eyes burned with determination. Time to fight. The crawler rolled forward, heavy and slow, but packed with weapons. Jace aimed the cannon and fired at the nearest group. Explosions lit the battlefield, and Kareth soldiers fell like wheat before the scythe. But the enemy was quick to respond. A squad charged the crawler, throwing energy grenades. One exploded near the track, shaking the machine violently. Jace gritted his teeth and crushed the controls, knocking down the attackers with heavy blasts. Inside the crawler, memories flashed in Jace's mind. He remembered his family, lost when the Kareth first attacked Earth. He remembered his team, all fallen, and now he remembered his promise to stop this war alone if he had to. He adjusted his suit. The armor was cracked and scratched, but still held strong. Outside, Sarah ran alongside the crawler, dodging gunfire and debris. She used a small device to hack enemy communications, trying to slow reinforcements. "Jace!" she shouted over the noise. "The fleet is moving toward the superweapon. We have little time." Jace nodded, eyes fixed ahead. "Then we stop it here." The ground trembled as the crawler crushed over rocks and broken metal. Jace fired again, taking down Kareth, scouts trying to flank him. Suddenly, the largest Kareth commander appeared ahead, blocking the path. It was even bigger and more terrifying than before. Its armor glowed with strange symbols, and its eyes shone red with anger. Jace's heart pounded. He raised the crawler's heavy machine gun and fired. The bullets hit the commander's armor, but barely slowed it down. The creature charged, swinging a massive claw. Jace barely dodged. The crawler shook violently as the claw hit the side. Jace's hands trembled on the controls. "This thing won't stop." He looked around the cabin. The emergency eject button was close. If he couldn't win, maybe he could escape. But then he saw Sarah still fighting outside, risking her life to buy him time. He clenched his jaw. "No," he said. "I'm not leaving." With renewed strength, Jace grabbed a large explosive from the crawler's storage. He pressed a button and aimed the crawler's cannon at the commander again. "Time to finish this," he said. He fired. The explosion rocked the battlefield. The commander staggered but didn't fall. Jace jumped out of the crawler, running toward the enemy. The commander turned to face him. Jace pulled a grenade from his belt. "Sorry," he whispered. He threw it at the commander's feet. The blast sent the creature flying. Jace didn't stop. He charged forward, dodging broken metal and burning rubble. Sarah joined him, firing a small laser pistol with deadly aim. Together, they fought through the enemy lines. They moved toward the Kareth's mobile fortress, a huge structure that looked like a living ship, covered in spikes and glowing with alien energy. Jace paused at the entrance. His breath came in gasps. Inside was the heart of the enemy's power. The superweapon. He could feel it. "Ready?" Sarah asked. Jace nodded. "Let's end this." Inside, the air was cold and strange. The walls pulsed with energy. Jace moved carefully, checking every corner. Suddenly, alarms blared. Kareth soldiers rushed toward them. Jace fired his rifle. Sarah hacked nearby control panels, trying to find the weapons. "Core, got it!" she shouted. "But we need to destroy it manually." Jace looked at the heavy doors leading to the core chamber. He pushed them open. Inside was a massive machine, dark, spinning, and alive. It was the Devourer. Jace planted explosives around the machine. His hands shook. He looked at Sarah. Time to run. They raced back through the fortress. Behind them, explosions began. The Kareth were closing in fast. Jace heard the countdown in his mind. 5 minutes. 4. 3. They burst outside as the fortress began to collapse. Jace and Sarah ran toward the crawler. Jace jumped in, started the engine, and drove away as the fortress exploded in a ball of fire. Flames lit the sky. As they reached safety, Jace looked at Sarah. "We did it," she smiled softly. "But the war is not over." Jace nodded. "Then, we fight until the end." The explosion had shattered the Kareth's mobile fortress, but the war was far from over. Captain Jace Thorne and Sarah stood among the smoking ruins, their breath heavy in the cold air. The fire lit their faces, but the victory felt hollow. Jace scanned the horizon. More enemy ships moved in the distance, larger, stronger, and more prepared. Sarah's voice was tense. "They will not give up. They have another plan." One I only heard in whispers. Jace turned to her, eyes sharp. "Tell me." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "The Kareth have been capturing humans. They are not just soldiers. They are building something new." Jace's brow furrowed. "Building what?" Sarah's eyes grew wide. "A clone army, made from human DNA." Jace's heart sank. He remembered the pain of losing friends and family. The thought of their faces being used as weapons filled him with rage. "Show me," he demanded. Sarah led him to a hidden cave deep beneath the battlefield. Inside, flickering lights revealed rows of tanks filled with glowing liquid. Inside each tank floated a half-formed soldier, human faces and bodies but twisted with alien features. Jace swallowed hard. The tanks hummed with life. "They take human DNA," Sarah explained. "Mix it with their own to create perfect warriors. Stronger, faster, without fear." Jace's fists clenched. "They want to use our own to fight us." Sarah nodded. "Yes, they call it the New Legion. It will crush every world in the galaxy." Suddenly alarms blared through the cave. Kareth soldiers stormed the entrance. "We have to move," Jace shouted. They fought through the narrow corridors. Jace's rifle roared, and Sarah used her hacking device to disable security doors. They reached the cloning tanks. "We can't let this happen," Jace said. "We have to destroy it all." Sarah set charges on the tanks. "Once these blow," she warned, "the cave will collapse. We need to escape fast." Jace nodded. "Let's do it." Explosions rocked the cave. Glass shattered, liquid spilled, and alarms screamed. The cloning vats cracked open, destroying months of work. Kareth soldiers rushed them, but Jace and Sarah fought with fury. Every shot, every move was fueled by hope and desperation. Jace felt a sharp pain as a soldier's blade grazed his arm. He gritted his teeth and kept fighting. As the cave began to crumble, Sarah grabbed Jace's hand. "We have to go now." They sprinted through falling rocks and dust. Outside, the sky burned with fire from the distant battlefield. Jace looked back once. The cave collapsed behind them. Exhausted, they sat on a hill overlooking the war zone. Sarah spoke quietly. "The Kareth will come after the New Legion. They believe it is their last hope. Jace stared into the flames. Then we have to stop it before it starts. A crackle came from Jace's radio. This is Earth Command. We received your last message. Reinforcements are on the way. Hold your position. Jace allowed himself a small smile. We're not alone anymore. But peace did not last. Suddenly the ground shook beneath them. A new Kareth fleet arrived, bigger and more deadly. Jace stood gripping his rifle. Sarah looked at him, her eyes full of resolve. Ready? Jace nodded. Always. The sky burned red as the new Kareth fleet descended on the battlefield. Hundreds of ships filled the horizon like a dark storm. Captain Jace Thorne stood among Earth's reinforcements, but he felt alone. The weight of the coming fight pressed down on him like never before. Beside him, Sarah's eyes searched the skies. They come for the new Legion. They want to protect their creation. Jace clenched his fists. Then we hold this line. No matter what. Deep underground, in the ruined cave where the cloning vats had once stood, a powerful device began to hum. Sarah and Jace had placed explosives to destroy it, a hidden core that powered the new Legion's cloning and war machines. The detonation timer counted down, 5 minutes. Sarah stared at the countdown on her device, her face pale. We must hold this place until the bombs go off. If the Kareth breach this chamber before then, the new Legion will rise. Jace nodded. Then we fight. Outside, Kareth troops poured into the area. Their numbers were overwhelming. They moved, like waves, relentless and cold. Jace raised his rifle and fired. Every shot was deadly, but the enemy kept coming. He called out orders to the reinforcements. Hold the left flank. Don't let them through. Explosions lit the field. Mines buried beneath the dirt blew apart advancing troops. Sarah worked at a small console, jamming enemy signals and trying to slow their progress. The ground shook as a massive Kareth beast burst through the front lines. It was taller than any soldier, covered in thick armor and glowing red eyes. Jace met it head-on, firing every weapon he had. The beast roared and charged. Jace dove to the side, barely escaping the crushing blow of its claw. He rolled to his feet, heart pounding. Keep them back, he shouted to his team. Sarah shouted over the gunfire. 2 minutes. Jace's voice was steady but fierce. We don't stop. We can't stop. Around them, friends fell. The battle was brutal, but Jace's spirit burned brighter than pain. He grabbed a grenade and threw it into a group of enemies closing in. The blast threw soldiers into the air. Sarah's device beeped. 30 seconds. Jace looked at the timer and then at the advancing Kareth. We hold until the end. He raised his rifle. A squad of Kareth broke through the defenses, heading straight for the bomb chamber. Jace ran to meet them. Bullets flew. He fought fiercely, pushing them back with sheer will. Sarah followed, firing her pistol with precision. They reached the chamber just as the last seconds ticked down. 5, 4, 3. The timer counted. Jace and Sarah braced themselves. The enemy closed in. 2, 1. The timer hit 0. A massive explosion rocked the underground. Flames and smoke filled the air. Outside, the shockwave destroyed the battlefield. The Kareth fleet staggered, many ships caught in the blast. Jace and Sarah were thrown to the ground, battered but alive. When the smoke cleared, silence fell. The new Legion and the cloning corps were gone. Jace looked at Sarah and smiled weakly. We did it. She nodded, tears in her eyes. But the war was not over. They had won a battle, but the fight for Earth's future had just begun. Years had passed since the war that nearly destroyed Earth. The skies had cleared and the battlefields had grown quiet. But the story of Captain Jace Thorne, the last human holding the front line, was still alive. In a small village on a distant planet, a young Kareth child sat by a fire. The child's eyes shone as an elder spoke in a low voice. Long ago, the elder began, there was one human. Alone he stood against an empire. No army, no help, just one man. The child leaned closer, eyes wide with wonder. The Kareth queen feared him. His courage was stronger than their weapons. He fought with honor and heart. He did what no one thought possible. Back on Earth, a tall statue stood in the center of the city square. It was Jace Thorn, carved in stone and metal. His rifle was raised, his face calm but determined. People from many worlds gathered around the statue. They came to honor the man who stopped the Devourer, who destroyed the clone army, and who made the Kareth reconsider their war. Sarah, now a respected ambassador between humans and Kareth, stood nearby. She watched children play, laughing in peace. "His story teaches us all," she said softly to a group of young aliens and humans, "that even one person can change the fate of many." But not all Kareth agreed. In the shadows, the old Queen's loyalists still whispered. They called Jace a threat, an enemy who needed to be forgotten. Yet the new generation listened only to the stories of hope. Jace's legacy lived in every human and alien who chose peace over war. And somewhere, far from the battlefield, a new star was born, a star named after the man who stood alone and never gave up. The universe was vast, and threats still waited in the darkness. But now, with heroes like Jace Thorn, the future was bright. Because legends are not written with words alone, they are written in blood.